Hello YouTubers and RC fans, my name is Ryan Robinson, and today I'm going to be sharing with y'all a review of my Sworkz S104 EK1. This is a 1/10th scale four-wheel drive buggy from Sworkz, and kind of the whole idea behind this vehicle is to give you kind of an 8th scale style vehicle in a 1/10th scale size. And they've done a really good job at it. All of the plastic components of the car are very thick and beefy with some flex to it that adds a whole lot to the durability of the car. Up front, you have 14mm, not 12, 14mm big bore shocks, and they are connected to carbon fiber shock towers, both front and rear. And kind of behind those, right here, there are no camber links. Instead, you have a pillow ball style suspension. The car uses CVAs or CVDs all the way around. It uses gear diffs, and in the center, you do have an adjustable slipper clutch. It has a very narrow aluminum chassis that keeps all of your electronics keeps all of your electronics as close to the center driveline as possible. That helps with the aluminum chassis. You get a very low center of gravity, but also since the electronics are as close to the center as possible, it makes the car very agile. What's about the chassis that I want to point out is the battery layout. You can either choose to run a saddle pack, which is what I have, or just by changing out this plate right here and this plate here, you can run a shorty pack that will sit across the chassis transverse. The aluminum chassis from underneath, it is a very, very beautifully designed chassis. As you can see, here's kind of you can kind of see the two plates that allow you to change which battery packs you use. You can see that better from underneath. And I do want to point out that this car does come with droop screws. I also do want to point out that this car does come with two bodies. This body right here is for the saddle packs, and then this body is for the shorty packs. As you can kind of see between the two, the shorty pack body is kind of more narrow towards the back, and then this one is wider towards the back to accommodate the saddle packs. The rear of the car, again, the whole kind of 8th scale style theme is continued with a lot of different adjustments that you can make. And I do want to point out that this entire car is fully adjustable. You've got Ackerman changes, you can change your rear toe, just anything you could think of that you would want to change on a race kit. This car has it. The vehicle uses 14mm hexes, both front and rear, and any standard 10th scale four-wheel drive tire in the front, and any two-wheel drive or four-wheel drive tire for the rear will fit on this buggy. The only thing I really don't like about this car out of the box is this. This car does have bump steer, and there's no real way to take that away, but I will tell you in advance that when you're driving this thing, you don't really feel the bump steer. This car has a weight forward layout, like all of the electronics are kind of located as close to the front as they possibly can, and that helps whenever you're coming down off of a jump. Whenever you land, a whole bunch of weight immediately goes to the front tires, and you really don't feel this. And also, while we're up here, see that is a carbon fiber toe link mount. It mounts to the steering knuckle, so if this part ever breaks, you don't have to replace the whole knuckle. You just have to take off 3 screws and this little piece comes off. That's just one thing that I really liked about this car. Extra stuff that you get with this car is actually really nice. You've got some shock and diff fluid, some grease, two extra CVDs, some spur gears. It comes with 86, 87, and 88 tooth spur gear. Very thick, very durable. Your wheel nut tool to change out your wheels. Some extra steering horns. Some extra rod ends, a lot more than what's shown here. Some extra sway bars. Some extra rear hubs, steering knuckles. All the parts needed to run a shorty battery pack. 2 extra pair of toe link mounts for your knuckles, and one more thing, and a upper chassis brace that's made of plastic and not aluminum. So, driving, finally. What you're looking at here is the kit stock setup with really no changes whatsoever except to the ride height. I made those adjustments myself, and the car is very, very fun to drive. It's smooth, consistent, it goes where you want it, when you want it. It's just very controllable, very predictable, and all around just really fun to drive. This car also has a very planted feel thanks to the aluminum chassis, and that weight forward layout really keeps the car from wanting to fishtail in turns. The rear end doesn't step out, and it's really easy to steer, correct the car out of turns, and just get on power very quickly. This car comes with Sworkz X system transmission that they say is designed to help the car accelerate well, and given the acceleration characteristics of this car, it does accelerate very well. This car also jumps and lands beautifully. This section right there the car just went over, that was my all-time favorite section of the track. Those 14mm big bore shocks do a really good job of soaking up bumps and landings, and just whenever you land, the car just immediately composes itself, and then you can just give it some throttle input and it'll just go. Something else I do want to point out are the tires I'm using. I'm running Proline M3 compound whole shots both in the front and in the rear. They seem to work well on a wide variety of driving surfaces. Speaking of which, here's the car driving on a different driving surface. This is some ungroomed, hard-packed sand, and the car is actually doing pretty well. I mean, the track is very bumpy and it's making the car a little unstable, but that immediate composure is still there. It's just, you can just put this car on any kind of driving surface that you want and it'll just take it. Now, this footage was taken before I went racing at Mike's hobby shop, and it was also taken before I installed the Novak censored brushless system. I'm running a 25 tooth pinion gear on a Castle Creations 3800 4-pole KV sensorless motor, and I'm using a team associated RTR speed control. So the car definitely was a lot faster here, and it was great fun to drive. Until this happened. I made the mistake of overgearing this car, and on this particular day, it was about 100 degrees outside, so the electronics overheated. That was entirely my fault. So if you want to go faster, it's best to go with a motor with a higher KV or lower turn rating instead of gearing. Be careful about gearing this car. And since we're on the subject of durability, I get to show you some footage of the Sworkz S104 fumbling and tumbling through some nice big crashes.
Change that. Look, the upper little bit on the track. We're getting close to that halfway point, guys.
all of those crashes, nothing broke on this car. However, the ball stud that mounts up to the servo horn did start to pull out a little bit. So be sure just to put some Loctite or something on the threads of this ball cup, and that should solve the problem. Now this footage that you're looking at right here is not me driving. I let one of the local racers at Mike's hobby shop drive the Sworkz S104 because they have driven 8th scale style vehicles, and I just wanted to let them drive it and see what they had to say about the car's handling.
What'd you think? What'd you think of it?
This car handles really well. It could use a little bit more power. The steering on it is really sensitive, but once you drive it a few laps, then it kind of settle down pretty well.
How is it compared to an 8th scale?
It feels really like an 8th scale, only in the miniature style. I would probably do something with the suspension on it, maybe a little bit too stiff for me, for my driving style, but it definitely turns. And,
okay.
Just feels just a little bit underpowered at the moment.
What about durability? What do you think? How durable do you think it is?
It's very durable. I had a few wrecks out there, and no brakes, no cracks.
Okay, thanks.
All right.
So there you have it. It feels like an 8th scale, it's just smaller. And that bump steer I was talking about earlier, I couldn't feel it as I was driving this, both on this track and on the sand track I was showing you earlier. I actually even forgot that I had it while I was driving this thing. Another thing I want to talk about this vehicle is parts support. I don't know how many hobby shops in the United States carry parts for Sworkz vehicles. However, amain.com has all of the parts for this vehicle in stock as of the time of this video. Summing things up, I really like this car. It's just very forgiving, very fun to drive, and since it's so durable, you can drive it with a lot of confidence because you're not worried about breaking parts, and that really takes away some of the just the nervousness that you get while you're standing on the driver's stand and driving. And this vehicle on amain.com, which is where I got it, if you use your coupon codes right, you can get this car for under $330 shipped. And that makes it the cheapest kit that you can buy in the 4-wheel drive buggy section on amainhobbies.com or amain.com, sorry. And I think you get what you pay for. You get a very good handling car that's durable, and it comes with a lot of extra stuff too. So that's it for this review. Thank you very much for watching. I want to say a special thank you to all of the people who helped me film this. And I also want to say thank you to my mom and dad who got this for me as an early birthday present. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up button, or if you didn't like it, please hit the thumbs down button. And if you have any questions or comments, please post them in the comment section on YouTube, and I will do my best to answer them. And I'll talk to you again soon.